Alone doesn't mean lonely. It means you're finally in control. The power of being alone is something most people misunderstand, because in a world that constantly promotes connection, noise, and validation, being alone is often seen as weakness, as loneliness, or as something to avoid. But in reality, being alone is one of the most powerful states you can experience, because it is in solitude that you truly meet yourself. It is where you understand your thoughts, your emotions, and your purpose without the influence of others. And most people fear being alone because they are not comfortable with their own mind. They depend on distractions, on social media, on other people's presence to avoid facing themselves. But when you choose to spend time alone intentionally, you begin to build a deeper connection with who you are. You start observing your thoughts, understanding your patterns, and identify what truly matters to you. And this awareness is powerful because it gives you clarity. You are no longer confused by external opinions or expectations. You begin to see your own path. And at the same time, being alone also helps you develop independence, because you're not relying on others for your happiness, your motivation, or your validation. You learn to create your own strength, your own discipline, and your own direction. And this independence builds confidence, because you trust yourself. You know that you can handle life on your own terms. And as you continue this practice, you also begin to notice that your focus improves, because you're not constantly distracted by noise or unnecessary interactions. Your mind becomes calmer, clearer, and more directed. And this allows you to work on yourself more effectively, because your energy is not being scattered. It is being used for growth. And over time, this habit of being alone becomes your advantage, because while others are dependent on external factors, you are building your internal strength. And this strength allows you to stay stable, focused, and in control, regardless of what is happening around you. And this is the true power of being alone, not isolation, but self-mastery, not loneliness, but independence. And once you understand this, you begin to use your time alone as a tool for growth, clarity, and transformation. Fire as you start embracing solitude. You begin to notice a powerful shift in your mindset, because when you are alone, you're free from external noise, free from constant opinions, expectations, and distractions. And this freedom allows your mind to slow down and think clearly, something that rarely happens in a busy and noisy environment. And most people never reach this level of clarity because they are always surrounded by stimulation, always reacting, always consuming, but never reflecting. And this is why they feel lost or confused. But when you spend time alone intentionally, you create space for deep thinking. You begin to analyze your life, your goals, and your direction. And this reflection helps you make better decisions, because you're not acting impulsively. You are acting with awareness. And at the same time, solitude also strengthens your emotional independence, because you are not constantly seeking validation or approval from others. You learn to be comfortable with yourself, and this comfort creates confidence, because you're not afraid of being alone. You see it as an opportunity, not a problem. And as you continue this practice, you also begin to notice that your creativity increases, because your mind is not overloaded with external information. It has the space to think, imagine, and create. And this creativity becomes a powerful tool, because it allows you to find new ideas, new solutions, and new ways of improving your life. And over time, this ability to think independently becomes your strength, because you are not influenced easily by others. You have your own perspective, your own direction, and your own purpose. And this is what truly separates strong individuals: the ability to stand alone, think clearly, and move forward with confidence without needing constant approval or support. As you go deeper into the habit of being alone, you begin to build a strong sense of inner peace, because your mind is no longer constantly reacting to everything around you. You are not overwhelmed by noise, opinions, or distractions. You are in a calm and controlled state. And this peace allows you to think clearly, act wisely, and stay focused on what truly matters. And most people struggle with stress and anxiety because their mind is always busy, always occupied, and never at rest. But when you learn to be alone, you give your mind the space it needs to reset, to process, and to recover. And this recovery is important because it improves your mental strength, your clarity, and your overall performance. And at the same time, being alone also helps you build resilience because you learn to rely on yourself. You face your thoughts, your fears, and your challenges without distraction. And this makes you stronger because you are not avoiding reality, you are confronting it. And as you continue this practice, you begin to develop a deeper understanding of yourself. You recognize your strengths, your weaknesses, and your potential. And this self-awareness becomes your advantage because you are not blindly moving through life. You are acting with intention, and over time, this creates a powerful transformation because you are no longer dependent on external factors for your happiness or direction. You are creating that from within, and this is the true power of being alone. It gives you clarity, peace, and strength, and helps you build a life that is based on your own decisions, not on the influence of others. Fire. As you spend more time alone, you begin to build a powerful sense of self-discipline. Because without constant supervision, expectations, or external pressure, your actions depend entirely on your own choices. And this is where real discipline is formed. Because you're not doing things to impress others or to meet someone else's standards. You're doing them because you decided to improve yourself. And this internal drive is much stronger than external motivation because it is consistent. It does not depend on anyone else. And as you continue this practice, you begin to notice that you are more in control of your time, your habits, and your decisions because you are not influenced by distractions or unnecessary interactions. And this control allows you to focus deeply on your goals because your energy is not being scattered. It is being directed toward meaningful actions. And at the same time, being alone also forces you to face your weaknesses because there is no distraction to hide behind. You see your habits clearly. You recognize what is holding you back, and this awareness allows you to improve because you're not ignoring your problems. You're working on them, and over time, this process builds strength because every time you confront a weakness and improve it, you become more capable, more confident, and more disciplined, and this is what makes solitude powerful. It creates an environment where growth is not optional, it is necessary, and as this continues, you begin to see yourself as someone who is in control, someone who does not depend on others to stay focused or motivated. And this identity strengthens your actions because you act according to who you believe you are. And this is how being alone transforms you, not by isolating you, but by strengthening you from within. As your journey continues, you begin to realize that being alone protects your energy, which is one of the most valuable things you have. Because your energy determines how you think, how you act, and how you perform. And most people lose their energy by constantly engaging in unnecessary conversations, distractions, and environments that do not support their growth. But when you choose solitude, you become more selective about where you invest your time and energy. And this selectiveness allows you to focus on what truly matters, your goals, your development, and your peace. And at the same time, being alone also helps you avoid negative influences because you are not constantly exposed to opinions, criticism, or toxic environments that can weaken your mindset. And this protection keeps your mind strong because you're not being pulled in different directions. You're staying aligned with your purpose, and over time, this creates clarity because your thoughts are not influenced by external noise. They're your own, and this clarity improves your decision-making because you are thinking independently, not reacting to others. And as you continue this practice, you also begin to feel more balanced because your mind is not overwhelmed. It is calm and controlled. And this balance allows you to perform better in every area of your life because your energy is being used efficiently. And this is what makes solitude powerful. It is not about being alone all the time, but about knowing when to step back, recharge, and focus on yourself so that you can return stronger, clearer, and more in control. As everything begins to align, you start to understand that being alone is where true self-discovery happens. Because when you remove all external influences, all distraction, and all noise, you are left with yourself, your thoughts, your beliefs, and your true desires. And this is where clarity is built. Because you're no longer influenced by what others expect from you, you begin to understand what you truly want. And this understanding gives you direction. Because you are not blindly following a crowd. You are creating your own path. And at the same time, this process also helps you build confidence. Because you learn to trust yourself. You rely on your own decisions, your own thinking, and your own actions. And this independence makes you stronger. Because you're not dependent on external validation. You're secure in who you are, and over time, this creates a powerful identity. Because you see yourself as someone who is self-reliant, focused, and in control. And this identity influences your actions naturally because you act according to who you believe you are. And as this continues, you begin to notice that your life becomes more intentional because you are making decisions based on your own values, not on external pressure. And this is what truly transforms your life, because you're not reacting to the world, you're creating your own direction. And this is the ultimate power of being alone. It gives you the space to discover yourself, the strength to build yourself, and the clarity to lead yourself toward the life you truly want. Fire as you continue embracing solitude. You begin to understand that being alone builds unshakable confidence. Because when you spend time with yourself, you stop depending on others for validation, approval, or support, and this independence is powerful because your confidence is no longer based on what others think. It is built on your own actions, your own discipline, and your own growth. And most people struggle with confidence because they rely too much on external feedback. They feel good when they are praised and feel weak when they're criticized. But when you are comfortable being alone, you break this cycle because your self-worth comes within, and this makes you stable because you're not easily affected by opinions. And at the same time, this independence also allows you to take risks because you're not afraid of being judged. You're focused on improving, and this mindset helps you grow faster because you are willing to step outside your comfort zone. And over time, this creates a strong belief in yourself because you see your progress, you see your discipline, and you see your ability to handle challenges on your own. And this proof builds real confidence, not temporary confidence. As your mindset reaches a higher level, you begin to realize that being alone is where true focus is developed. Because without distractions, without noise, and without constant interaction, your mind has the ability to concentrate deeply on what truly matters. And this deep focus is rare, because most people are constantly interrupted, constantly distracted, and unable to maintain attention for long periods. But when you embrace solitude, you create the perfect environment for concentration. And this allows you to work with intensity, to think deeply, and to produce better results. And at the same time, this focused state also improves your productivity because you're able to complete tasks more efficiently and with higher quality. And over time, this creates a strong work ethic because you become used to working in a focused and disciplined manner, and this habit becomes your advantage because while others struggle with distractions, you are able to stay locked in on your goals. And as this continues, you begin to see significant progress because your efforts are consistent and concentrated. And this progress builds momentum because success comes from repeated focused action. And this is what solitude gives you: the space to concentrate, the ability to stay disciplined, and the power to move forward without interruption at the highest level. You begin to understand that being alone is not about isolation. It is about self-mastery because it gives you the opportunity to build yourself without interference, to strengthen your mind, to control your emotions, and to align your actions with your purpose. And this process transforms you completely because you're no longer influenced by external noise. You are guided by internal clarity. And this clarity allows you to live intentionally because you are making decisions based on what truly matters to you, not on what others expect. And at the same time, this way of living also gives you peace because your mind is not constantly reacting or comparing. It is calm, focused, and stable. And this stability allows you to handle life with confidence because you trust yourself. You know that you have the strength to face challenges and the discipline to keep moving forward. And over time, this creates a powerful life because your thoughts, your actions, and your goals are all aligned, and this alignment leads to growth, success, and fulfillment. And eventually, you realize that the power of being alone is not in escaping the world, but in preparing yourself to face it stronger, wiser, and more in control. And that is what truly sets you apart, because while others are dependent on the world, you have mastered yourself. And that is the ultimate advantage. Fire as you go deeper into the journey of solitude. You begin to realize that being alone teaches you self-reliance, because when there's no one around to guide you, support you, or make decisions for you, you are forced to depend on yourself. And this is where true strength is built, because you start trusting your own thinking, your own judgment, and your own actions. And most people struggle with this because they're used to relying on others. They seek advice for every decision. They look for approval before taking action, and they hesitate when they are alone. But when you embrace solitude, you break this dependency, because you learn to stand on your own. You make decisions based on your own understanding, and this builds confidence, because you see that you are capable. And as you continue this practice, you begin to feel more secure, because your strength is not coming from others. It is coming from within, and this internal strength makes you stable, because you are not easily shaken by external situations. And at the same time, self-reliance also helps you grow faster, because you're not waiting for someone else to guide you. You are taking action, learning from your mistakes, and improving continuously. And this process builds experience, which strengthens your mindset even more. And over time, this creates a powerful identity, because you see yourself as someone who can handle life independently, someone who does not need constant support. And this is what truly gives you an advantage, because while others depend on the world, you depend on yourself. And that is where real power comes from as your mindset evolves. You begin to understand that being alone sharpens your thinking, because without constant noise, conversations, and external influence, your mind has the space to think deeply. And this deep thinking allows you to analyze situations more clearly, to understand problems more effectively, and to create better solutions. And most people never reach this level because they are always distracted, always reacting, and never taking the time to think. But when you are alone, you are not reacting, you are reflecting. And this reflection improves your awareness, because you begin to notice patterns, you understand your behavior, and you identify areas where you need to improve. And this awareness is powerful, because it allows you to grow intentionally, not randomly. And at the same time, solitude also improves your decision-making, because you are not influenced by other people's opinions or emotions. You are thinking independently, and this independence allows you to make decisions that are aligned with your goals, not with external pressure. And over time, this ability becomes your strength, because you are not easily confused or misled. You have clarity, and this clarity keeps you focused, because you know what you want and how to achieve it. And this is what truly separates strong individuals: the ability to think clearly, independently, and with purpose. At the highest level, you begin to realize that being alone prepares you for the real world, because life will not always provide support, comfort, or guidance. There will be moments when you have to face challenges on your own, make difficult decisions, and move forward without reassurance. And if you're not comfortable being alone, these moments will feel overwhelming. But when you have trained yourself in solitude, you are ready, because you have already built the strength, the clarity, and the confidence to handle situations independently. And this preparation gives you an advantage, because while others panic or hesitate, you remain calm and focused. And at the same time, this ability also allows you to handle success better, because you're not dependent on external validation. You are grounded. You understand that your worth comes within, and this keeps you stable, because you are not affected by praise or criticism. And over time, this creates a balanced mindset, because you are not controlled by extremes. You remain consistent, and this consistency allows you to grow steadily. And as everything comes together, you begin to see that the power of being alone is not just about growth. It is about preparation. It is about becoming the kind of person who can handle anything, who can think clearly, act confidently, and move forward without fear. And this is what truly sets you apart, because you're not just strong when things are easy. You are strong even when you are alone, and that is the ultimate power. Fire as you begin to practice silence. You start to notice how much power comes from observation, because when you're not constantly speaking, reacting, or trying to prove yourself, you create space to see things clearly. You understand people better, you recognize patterns, and you become more aware of your surroundings. And this awareness is powerful because it gives you an advantage. Most people are too busy talking to notice what is really happening. They miss details. They act impulsively, and they make decisions based on emotions. But when you stay silent, you are not reacting instantly. You are observing, thinking, and choosing your response carefully. And this improves your decision-making because your actions are based on clarity, not impulse. At the same time, silence also helps you control your emotions because you're not expressing every feeling immediately. You are allowing yourself to process it, and this prevents unnecessary conflicts, mistakes, and regrets. And over time, this habit builds emotional strength because you're not easily triggered. You remain calm even in difficult situations. And this calmness gives you control because you're not being influenced by external factors. You're responding with intention. And as you continue this practice, you begin to notice that people start respecting you more because you're not loud, reactive, or desperate for attention. You are composed, focused, and in control. And this creates a strong presence because your silence speaks louder than unnecessary words. And this is what truly helps you win, because you're not wasting energy on reactions. You're using it to grow, to improve, and to move forward strategically. As your mindset grows stronger, you begin to understand that silence is also a form of discipline, because it requires control to not react, to not explain yourself, and to not respond to every situation. And most people struggle with this because they feel the need to defend themselves, to prove their worth, and to make others understand them. But when you are mentally strong, you realize that not everyone needs to understand you. Not every opinion matters, and not every situation deserves your energy. And this realization gives you freedom, because you are not constantly trying to control how others see you. You're focused on controlling yourself. And this focus allows you to grow faster because your energy is not being wasted on unnecessary things. It is being directed toward your goals. And at the same time, silence also helps you stay consistent because you're not distracted by drama, arguments, or external noise. You're locked on your path. And this consistency creates results because success is built through repeated focused effort. And over time, this approach transforms your life because while others are busy talking about their plans, you're quietly working on yours. And this is what creates real progress, because actions matter more than words. And eventually, your success becomes visible. And when that happens, you do not need to explain anything because your results speak for you. And that is the true meaning of staying silent and winning. Fire.